Wasn't there something in these papers that I read about the citizen briefing book?
Yeah, this was a tool President Obama and his crew kind of set up. It's an online tool at change.gov. I actually think they just closed it a couple of days ago. But one could go on the website, propose some kind of policy change that they'd like to see, and the one that gets the most votes, or the few that get the most votes, will get a public response from President Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So a coalition of national groups put forth a proposed plan, new plan for U.S. policy toward Colombia.
And did it? You think it got a lot of votes, or?
It got a lot of votes. Apparently, there was one policy that got more attention was an embargo against something to do with extraterrestrials. So I don't know. There are all sorts of funky proposals. Some really great ones. So.
Wouldn't
anyway.
you like to be the people reading all of these?
Yeah, seriously, filtering.
We did have one of the times that we've had our congressperson on this show, Jan Schakowsky. She was just back from a trip to Colombia. That was early in her term as congressperson. Do you find how are the local representatives responding to you? You said you worked with Senator Obama's office. Now that he's not the senator, have you I'm sure you have other extended other communications with state reps or Congress people and Durbin's office?
Yeah, we work with all members of Congress from Illinois that work in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. So some of those relationships are better than others. Our relationship with Representative Schakowsky is the best. She's 100% voting record on the issues that we work on.
Uh-huh. Who else is, who's up there alongside of her, whether they're from Illinois or not? Who's another friend in Washington to this issue?
Congressman Jim McGovern from Massachusetts is excellent.
Uh-huh.
We do have other good representatives here, like Congressman Bobby Rush is excellent, especially on Afro-Colombian issues.
Uh-huh.
Jesse Jackson.
Junior.
Danny Davis. So we have some good allies here.
Excellent. So what do you feel are the next steps that need to be taken, both public steps in terms of public education and also organizing, as far as from your point of view? What do you think you're going to be putting the most energy into and trying to affect the most?
Well, actually, I think this year's trip out to Washington, D.C. in March is one of the most critical trips we've ever done. These first few months of the Obama administration are our best opportunity to really set the tone for how U.S. policy is going to look toward Latin America over the next several years.
Right.
So this is a really critical time for us to focus on victims of the violence, people who have been displaced in Colombia. Colombia has the highest rate of displacement in the world. So really just to focus on the humanitarian... Yes, really.
Higher than African states?
Yeah, actually, the United States Human Rights Commission just recognized that the numbers of displacement in Colombia are higher than that of Sudan, have surpassed Sudan. So it's really a humanitarian crisis, and it doesn't get much attention.
No.
So,
and really what we've talked about thus far has not really centered on the human rights violence. Maybe we should say a few words about that.
Sure.
That'd be your turn. You're the one that gets to say about it, because I don't know. Thank you. Oh, yes, we are WLUW, and you are Danielle from the
Chicago Religious Leadership Network
Chicago
on Latin
Religious
America.
Leadership. You're the public policy coordinator from the Chicago Religious Leadership Network on Latin America, Danielle Wegman. That was my station ID. So tell us, what is the gist of the human rights violations in Colombia? What are the worst? What are the ongoing and the intractable pieces of it that people are suffering down there?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, extrajudicial executions are a serious issue that have been on the rise under President Uribe. Violence against union leaders is a serious issue. Displacement of entire communities in the name of vacating land and making room for what turn out to be multinational corporations often, or even national companies that are working in Colombia that would like to make a profit off the land.
That wanted the land to grow their own stuff or to do their own.
Yes. For example, Colombia is one of the richest countries in the world with gold in its land. So people who have been artisan gold miners or just traditional gold miners for decades now are at great risk of violent displacement from mostly military and paramilitary forces. So some groups have even been repeatedly displaced and have returned to their land at great risk to themselves and their families.
Wow. Okay, and I assume there's a lot of, there is a movement in Colombia itself. The labor leaders, you mentioned them, are also in struggle with the government. And to what extent is the opposition to the government, to the violence, able to operate inside of the borders of Colombia?
It's a good question. They do. Nothing really seems to stop them. I mean, it's a scary job. People are receiving death threats all the time. So one never really knows what will happen to them and when and where. But they do it anyway, which is what strikes me most about the people of Colombia, is their persistence and resilience despite this great threat on their lives.
Right. Okay. Well, Danielle, is there anything else you'd like to let the listening audience know about how they can learn more, participate more, possibly support your efforts towards affecting the U.S. policy there?
Yes, you can always, you can go on our website. It's crln.org, the acronym for Chicago Religious Leadership Network. We have a whole host of ways for you to get involved here in Chicago in affecting U.S. policy toward Latin America. You can go on delegations with us to Latin America, to Washington, D.C., to Fort Benning, Georgia, to close the School of the Americas. So there are all sorts of ways to get involved, and we'd love to have you join us.
How many of you have been to Fort Bennington to demonstrate against the School of the Americas? I know there's 3 guys over there, but they're too intent on their breakfast. All right, I want to thank you very much, Danielle, for your work and for making it up here this morning. You know, you get to eat breakfast now on us. So
all right.
Yeah, that's a big plus of being on the radio show. Danielle Wegman, Public Policy Coordinator, Chicago Religious Leadership Network. That's crln.org to learn about and help out with developing policy that does not hurt Latin America for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you.